Hello everyone, welcome to Safe Investing. So for this week, is British Petroleum an opportunity? So last week I've talked about AT&T, and I still think that AT&T is a great opportunity because Nasdaq and Dow are at all-time high right now, and the earnings reports are over, so there's not much news or rumors to keep pumping up these prices. AT&T is rather a really safe stock to have when Nasdaq any index are at their all-time high. So I believe that AT&T is a very safe stock to own. If you haven't seen that video, please check it out. So here's some background information about British Petroleum. So when you hear BP, you pretty much instantly think of gas stations, but BP also has many subsidiaries, with the major one being Castrol Motor Oil. So all motor oils across the world, a large percentage of motor oils belongs to Castrol. It's a great brand, honestly, and personally, for my chainsaws or hedge trimmers, I like to use Castrol Motor Oil. And in the United States, you probably hear about ARCO, ARCO. So basically there are gas stations called ARCO, and that belongs to British Petroleum. So in some countries, they do not use the word BP for the gas stations. They just use another name. And BP exists worldwide, over 70 different countries, and right now is currently selling some of its oil assets, crude oil assets, and beginning to implement some EV chargers. So recently we have heard the news that Shell bought a BP stake in the North Sea oil field, and this is not that bad because BP can use this money to do more innovation and start more EV chargers, because the thing with EV chargers is that they have a very high one-time cost. So once you get that going, then you just accumulate more and more and more. So you gradually shift to both sides, both EV as well as to oil side as well. So if it's good to have both to diversify BP's investments. So I think that what they're doing is pretty good. And also, as for Boeing airplanes, right? Boeing made an announcement about a few months ago saying that their airplanes will always stick with kerosene. They will never use a battery because at the current technology, I can't say they will never use, but what they said was that at the current technology, the batteries are way too heavy. And as for hydrogen is unsafe when it comes to aircraft. So Boeing, for now, within the next 5 years, will definitely continue to stick with kerosene. So on Friday, BP closed at a price of $24.18. And this price is, I would say, it's the midpoint for BP right now. There is some room for it to drop, but there's also some room for it to grow. And well, right now, as Nasdaq and Dow and other indexes are at their all-time high, having a value stock like BP with a solid dividend is going to cushion a lot of the risks for you. So I believe that right now is a pretty good time for you to maybe start selling some of very overvalued growth stocks and switch it to a more safer options, such as BP. As for earnings, so BP delivered a pretty good positive surprise for their quarter one earnings per share at 78 cents. And over the past 12 months, we have the earnings per share of negative $1.15. So, but keep in mind that oil prices went negative, and the chance of that happening again it's highly improbable. And I would say that when you compare these earnings to other recovery stocks such as airlines, right, which has huge losses, I would say that BP is actually not doing so bad. I mean, they could easily make back their losses over the pandemic within the next 2 to 3 years, even if you account for higher interest rates if Fed is going to implement it. And as for the quarter two estimate of 59 cents, I think that considering that Suncor already released its earnings as well as ExxonMobil and Chevron, they all beat this estimate, so I believe that BP can also beat. So, and relatively when you compare it to the other oil stocks, I would say that BP pretty much has the best P ratio right now at the moment. So we look at WTI, so Western Texas prices, or we look at Brent prices, but they're pretty much correlated to one another. So WTI hit over $130 in 2008 and over 100 again in 2014. So I believe that oil prices could continue to surge. Because right now, if the demand for oil is dropping, that just means higher prices, because the companies have to survive, right? So all oil companies will raise their prices, and we may see a very high oil prices in the near future. And as for the pandemic price, pre-pandemic price of $36, right? BP is currently at 24, so it's right now is significantly below the pre-pandemic pricing. And I think that BP is much safer than airlines. If you want a recovery stock, I think oil stock is much better than airline stock right now, because they both have their issues in the future, right? And we talk about oil cars or becoming EVs, but airlines also have the uncertainty of the fourth wave coming in September. So who knows what will happen? But EV also the good parts in terms of growth for EV is that they're implementing their EV chargers, right? And this diversifies their investment, and it helps to create a solution that's both beneficial to electric vehicles as well as gasoline vehicles as well as aircrafts, and as well as raw materials too. A lot of the raw materials that we use today are made from petroleum, crude oil. So overall, I would give BP 8 out of 10 in terms of a buy rating, and I think that BP is a great opportunity. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope you all have an amazing day. And remember to invest safely.